Kia ora. We start off with higher pressure coming closer towards us, but if we've learned anything over the last few days, it's nothing lasts for long. This high pressure is a fleeting affair. It brings some clearer skies as we head through the rest of Friday and some, well, pretty cold nighttime temperatures as we head through into the early hours of Saturday, but it's a fleeting affair. Keep an eye down towards the south and the west with more unsettled weather set to move back towards us. The main influence of this high pressure will be a cold night tonight. Temperatures back down across those inland parts of the North Island, down as low as -2, -3 degrees Celsius for places like Aotearoa and Taupo. Cold and frosty even in Waikato as well. Places like Hamilton back down towards freezing, and plenty of spots on the South Island as well, especially those inland areas down below freezing as well. So a cold and frosty start to Saturday. As we head on in towards the weekend, we'll find the high pressure slides further northwards. It allows these next fronts to move north. Now, northwesterly winds, we saw those last week. We saw strong winds through Canterbury, in towards parts of Otago, up in towards Marlborough and Wellington. And you can see that's very much what's happening as we head through Saturday. For the North Island, generally the weather is fairly settled and dry and fine. It's a cold start first thing. We'll find those temperatures rising though nicely in the sunshine. On the South Island, we'll find more cloud and wet weather pushing in towards the west. This next pulse of stronger winds edges closer towards us as well, and we'll find the weather goes downhill. There's already some severe weather watches and warnings in place for many parts on the South Island that start late Saturday and run through in towards Sunday, and you can see why. As we head through Sunday, this rain moves further northwards. Now pushed across in towards the headwaters of Otago and Canterbury. And on the eastern side, once again, we'll find strong winds, especially for places like the Canterbury High Country, where we have a strong wind warning, and those winds perhaps reaching 140 kilometres an hour in the most exposed areas. Strong winds as well out towards Wellington, Wairarapa, and this front gets halfway up the country. Once it does that, it sits there between these two areas of high pressure, and where it goes is the key thing. Now, as the system stays close by, another area of low pressure developing on that may well drag more of that warmth and moisture in from the north and force more wet weather in towards the top of the South Island. Now, this front may linger or may just oscillate backwards and forwards a little bit. So the exact placement of that is still all to play for, but potentially a wet looking day for places like Bulla and the Tasman region as we go through in towards that Monday and Tuesday. With the westerly weather staying across the South Island though, a dry day on the north, northerly winds though, increasing through Northland, Auckland, and bringing more cloud through those areas. So something to watch out for down south. Bit of a clearer sky on the other side of that front. Good news for the partial solar eclipse happening first thing on Monday. Places like Dunedin may get away with some of the better weather. We are going to keep a close eye on that feature though for Tuesday. You can see the potential for that wet weather to continue to feed in. A good old feed of that warmth and that moisture. Could be some heavy rainfall in places like the Kahurangi National Park. So we have still got some interesting weather to come through there. As that front then moves out towards the east, it brings out wet weather on towards the north and clearer skies back down towards the south. But I think definitely one to be keeping a close eye on, not just on the severe weather warnings, which you can already find on the MetService website for places like, well, most of the South Island is blanketed by those severe weather warnings, but also places like Wellington and Wairarapa for those stronger winds through Sunday. And also keep an eye on that severe weather outlook, which will give you your latest thinkings on how the situation is going to pan out over the next few days. So in terms of our rainfall, here's how it looks at the moment. Most of what we can see on the North Island happens later on. We've got that dry weather with us through Saturday, and I think even through towards Sunday, most spots are looking pretty good. It's that next feature that runs out from the south and that low pressure that develops close to. You can see areas like Taranaki, particularly around the top of the Monga, and in towards places like the Aotearoa range, catching the heavier rainfall through there. Worth keeping a close eye on those areas, particularly as we head through in towards the start of next week. We'll also find northwesterly winds, that classic direction, places like Wellington and Wairarapa, perhaps in towards those southern parts of Hawke's Bay, seeing some stronger winds through there. For the South Island, well, most of the weather comes in from the west through Saturday and Sunday. We've got those heavy rain warnings through parts of Fjordland, watches as well up through the ranges of Westland into Bulla, and that northwesterly wind will push that rain across and towards the headwaters of Otago and Canterbury, so we'll find some of that rain spilling across as well. You'll notice though, those reds and purples up in the north, that's an indication of that area of low pressure, pushing more of that rain back in towards places like the Tasman region and Bulla as we head through towards Monday and Tuesday. Like I say, There's still a bit of uncertainty about where it will run through, but it does look like potentially a wet story for you. Keep an eye on those forecasts and any severe weather watches and warnings. Places like Nelson as well, you can see those ranges out towards the east. One definitely to keep a close eye on. Over the next few days, we'll find our temperatures up and down. Cold, frosty night tonight, even in places like Waikato and Waitomo and the Central Plateau. As we head through in towards next week, you can see this feed of warmth associated with that area of low pressure that runs down towards us, dragging that warmth and that moisture across the north side as well. So we'll find our temperatures rising again. Cold night, warming back up again as we head through towards the start of next week. But then it's just an intrusion of warm air. Down south, we've got more of that cold air pushing it back through there too. So it is still going to be a pretty unsettled story as we head through towards the middle part of next week. You can see we've got more areas of low pressure running across the country as we head in towards Wednesday and Thursday. By the end of next week, coming back into more of that linear east-west split with more of that wet weather on the western coast. But still a pretty unsettled spell of weather to come. I think we've got the best of the weather today in terms of drier weather, but that does bring with it that risk of cold and frosty conditions. And then as we head through the weekend, keep an eye on those severe weather warnings. We've got wetter, windier weather back with us, and again with that risk of some thunderstorms on those western coasts. That's it from me. This is more at MetService.com.